Alrighty. Welcome. I missed the 12 o'clock show. I missed my noon timeline because I'll be honest with you, I took some NyQuil. Wasn't feeling so hot. And I slept right through. I just woke up. So that this won't be a usual occurrence. I'll give you notice if I'm going to miss a 12 p.m. deadline. I've been trying to stay on a regimen, and I do want to keep doing the show regardless of how things went today because while it's late, while it's a little bit behind the times, I'm still here. I'm still here. What's going on, Toothless? Appreciate all the support, man, you've been giving the channel. I fell asleep like a rock, so I quick little conversation before I go into the couple of the segments I have. So I went into, it's like woke up around 4 or 5 in the morning. Shoveled like crazy. Huge parking lot, shoveled up 2 pathways. I've been getting paid for it, so I'm like, okay, I'll do that. And I wasn't feeling too hot anyways, but I want to get it done. So like, I get back inside. I shovel it. I'm like, all right, take some NyQuil when I'm inside. Go to sleep. That was the worst mistake. I just slept like a rock. I'm still exhausted right now. Still exhausted. So I apologize for not hitting the 2 p.m. time slot. That won't be a normal occurrence. I got the new version of COVID a couple weeks ago, and it's weird. Like I still coughing and all that stuff. Oh wait, shit. I can I say that on stream? Whatever. But still coughing, and it's kind of taking a lot out of me. But hell, shoveling is good exercise. Figured why not? But my complaining aside, and I appreciate the support, Toothless. Let's talk about the NHL expanding. And is this a good idea? So let me share the article. Usually I have things a little bit more set up in queue. But the NHL expanding. Let me mute the audio because I don't want to get some copyright. Knowing me, that's pretty much what happened. Oh, what's that? You want to do stuff? Copyright. Yeah, Tacticore. I just woke up. Actually, I got some good news for you. But I'll call you actually after this. I just woke up, took some NyQuil and at 5, 6 this morning after shoveling for like an hour and a half. And yeah, I was asleep. I was gone. So I'm a little rough today. A little rough. All right, so let's talk about the Salt Lake City group formally requests to initiate an expansion process. So the NHL expanding, is that a good idea? League says it looks forward to continuing discussions with owner of the NBA's Utah Jazz. Now I think Utah and Salt Lake, I think that'd be an amazing hockey market. But yeah. So SCG told the league it can welcome NHL franchise to Salt Lake City as soon as next season, using Delta Center, the home of the Jazz, as an interim home arena. Gary Bettman loves that money, baby. The NHL released the following statement regarding SCG's request. The NHL appreciates the interest expressed by Smith Entertainment Group to bring NHL hockey to Utah. During conversations over the course of the past 2 years, we have been impressed by Ryan and Ashley Smith's commitment to their community and their passion and vision for Utah, not only as a hockey market, but as a preeminent sports and entertainment destination. Utah is a promising market, and we look forward to continuing our discussions. NHL Deputy Commissioner Bill Daly confirmed on June 3rd at the Stanley Cup Final the league was in touch with Ryan Smith and has expressed his interest in bringing an NHL team to Salt Lake City. SCG envisions a near future where the NHL will thrive in Utah, and we are 100% focused on making this happen as soon as possible, Smith said in a statement. We are passionate about sports and entertainment in the state and are committed to providing premium sports entertainment experiences for the people of Utah and visitors from around the world. We are ready to welcome the NHL and confident at that time confident at that time and attention spent by all parties will bring one of the most exciting and dynamic leagues in the world to our community on a permanent basis. As CJ said, the NHL can begin to play immediately in Delta Center, begin to play upon the completion of a new arena that will be constructed in the Salt Lake City area. This is what Utah Governor Spencer Cox had to say. Utah has a long history with hockey, strongest economy in the nation, a passionate sports fan base, and the youngest and most active population. These factors make Utah ripe for an expansion of our sports and entertainment community. We couldn't be more excited about the opportunity to welcome the NHL. With the Olympic bid underway, I mean, they did have the Salt Lake City Games. Our long-standing reputation as one of the greatest winter sports capitals in the world, and with the proven leadership of Ryan Ashley-Smith and SCG in our community, I'm extremely optimistic about the future of Utah. The future! The Utah Grizzlies, yeah, I mean, they're an ECHL team. And I'll kind of read this last quote by Ryan Smith. All eyes are on Utah for the recent and rapid evolution of our sports landscape, especially with the Utah Royals back this spring and the Salt Lake City's Olympic bid underway. There is so much momentum happening at the state level and around global sports and sports infrastructure. While Delta Center is ready to serve as an interim solution for an NHL team, Utah will need a new arena designed for professional and Olympic hockey. So they wanted to do Olympic hockey, the rinks a little bit wider. So, okay. All right. Let's talk about Salt Lake City and the opportunity to, hey, possibly have a hockey team. So, let me actually read your comments. Yes, it's a perfect name for them. Utah is getting a team now. Question mark. And no, those Mormons out there, they'll call it Salt Lake City missionaries or some BO shit like that. Oh my God. Yeah, listen, I know I'm late. I took some NyQuil after shoveling and I woke up late. But we're here. We're still here. So, do I think this could work? Okay, yes, I think Salt Lake City, kind of, I'd have to look, let me look at the population base. But I think Salt Lake City, like Utah, would be a fine hockey market, right? But we already have certain teams struggling. We do. We already have certain teams struggling for attendance. And listen, Arizona's played good this year. I think in the college arena, they've done well. But we have a goddamn NHL hockey team playing at Arizona State University. I don't care how well they're selling. I don't care how good the team is. That's terrible for optics. So, for me personally, with some of these franchises that might be struggling, I would look at a relocation before I look at an expansion. For me personally. Because it makes no sense. And maybe I'm an old fuddy-duddy in this regard. I think 32 teams are more than enough. The NBA has 32. The NHL has 32. I'm not sure. I'm really, really, really not sure. In my personal opinion, it would make much sense to expand. Like, you relocate a team like Arizona. And that's not to knock Coyote fans. You want them to be successful. You want them to kind of have a grassroots foothold down there. But I'm just looking at it from a pure, pure standpoint that, hey, we have a good chance here, to fix and salvage the situation and have a team actually become profitable. I mean, the Utah Jazz, they support that shit like crazy. If you're supporting an NBA franchise, I think they can support an NHL franchise for sure. I don't think it's a case of the support not being there or, professional teams not working there. It's just, would you want to expand or would you rather fix some of the issues you already have in the NHL? Like where you could kind of move a team, in my personal opinion. That is where I would do it. I would rather do it. As for, because I know Houston has been in that conversation as well. The guy in Houston really wants a team as well. That's a big market. It's going to be interesting. Like, in my opinion, I don't think it makes sense to make another expansion. You just brought in a couple teams. Like, give it some time to breathe. So I don't think Salt Lake City will have a team. So let me read some of your comments. Hockey players in a Tri-City. That'd be fair. Is Salt Lake City white? Jesus Christ. No to Salt Lake City. Okay, so MFD said nah. No to Salt Lake City. Tactical Meme says Arizona can move. Relocation is key, but let's be honest. Utah Jazz got relocated because they didn't win a championships. When attendance dies, no money is made. I mean, there still is the Utah Jazz, right? So, I would much rather see a second team in the Greater Toronto area. I don't know if Toronto, I mean, you have the population base. I just don't know if the NHL would ever do that in fear of like splitting the base, if that makes sense. Because the Maple Leaf fans, I think they buy the most merchandise. They're the most profitable in the NHL. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but if they're not the most profitable, they're easily like top 3, top 5. One of the most passionate fan bases. So yeah, I don't really know if they would ever add another team in the greater market. I mean, there's been some rumblings with more fans, like bringing back Quebec City. But Quebec City, I don't know. It'd be kind of cool because the Quebec Nordiques was such a cool little logo, cool, merchandising thing. I just don't really see it happening. So it's like, if they add another Canadian team, I don't know exactly where. I don't think they'll add another team in Toronto due to wanting to keep that as a Maple Leaf Nation thing, if that makes sense. I could be wrong. Maybe they do, right? I mean, Winnipeg, for being relatively small, sells out quite a bit. Like, their passion. I know sometimes the attendance can go up, go down, but I mean, the Winnipeg Jets, especially this second iteration, the fans passionately support them. And with the increasing contract costs to NHL teams, Mormons are some of the... Oh, my God. All right. All right. I don't know. Oh, my God. I don't know how true that is. Should have fully read that. Yeah, I mean... No, the Utah Jazz, they're actually still very, very successful. Very, very successful. Oh, man, I thought they became the OC Tornadoes or whatever for Tito's their name. No, the Utah Jazz are still very profitable. Actually, let me Utah Jazz. Profitability. How do you say? Oh, value. I'm kind of running, just my brain just jump started because I just woke up. I mean, take this with a grain of salt, obviously, but how much are the Utah Jazz worth? According to Statistica, the Utah Jazz are worth currently $3.09 billion. Billion. The operating income of the Utah Jazz franchise sank to $46 billion in the 2000. I mean, that's not terrible. Obviously, what something's worth and what it makes is two completely different things, though. So, unless I actually had the books, but I mean, they're relatively profitable. So, I don't know, though. I'm not for expansion. I don't think it makes much sense. I think you have 32 teams. The NHL's kind of already in a situation where the new expansion teams are working. You have a couple teams that aren't really doing well. Just relocate. If that's the only thing that makes sense to me. And I think if there's a relocation, they're probably going to favor Houston just because of the population, right? And how many people live down there. If I was to say what area would support a hockey team better, probably Utah. Because Dallas can sell out pretty well, but then do pretty mediocre numbers some years. I think Texas, I mean, you have to keep building, putting a foothold down in Texas, so I understand why. But yeah, I mean, for me, maybe Houston could be a passionate fan base. I could be wrong on that, but I think Utah would support it. I don't think it makes sense to have an expansion. Absolutely. That's what I want. I want you to have the fast food experience. Fast food, fast food and experience that you'll ever have. All right. All right. All right. So, let's talk about this. This is going to be an interesting thing. Peter Mrazek signs a 2-year deal worth $8.5 million with the Blackhawks. All right. Let's get into it. Peter Mrazek signed a 2-year, $8.5 million contract with the Chicago Blackhawks on Wednesday, has an average annual value of $4.25 million and begins next season. This is what the general manager, Kyle Davidson, had to say. Peter is a strong goaltender who continues to display the athleticism and calming style of play that has made him so successful in this league. I mean, that's questionable. He's kind of be up and down. He's had an immense impact within our group, and we're excited to have Peter back. Mrazek is 12-17-1 with a 3.01 goals against average, a .907 save percentage, and 1 shutout in 32 games played for the Chicago Blackhawks, who are 14-31-2. So he literally has pretty much all their wins. He's having a good year. I mean, the numbers, you look like, oh, that's okay. But considering that's on the Blackhawks, those are phenomenal numbers. So, you know, selected by the Detroit Red Wings. I mean, went to the Red Wings, Flyers, Carolina, Toronto, Blackhawks now. Yeah, I mean, Mrazek's one of these guys. Let me kind of just click on him so I can go to the stats. Mrazek's one of these guys that when he's on. He's really freaking good. But there was always something there with him that for whatever goddamn reason, like just teams just kind of like, maybe we got to get a different goalie in here. So it's actually funny. He's on pretty much par for his career averages. 366 games played, 162 wins, 25 shutouts, 2.78 goals against average, 907 save percentage. This season, as already stated before, 32 games played, 12 wins, 1 shutout, 3.01 goal against average, and a 907 save percentage. That's good on a Blackhawks team that's not very good. Like, last 5, I mean, look at just the save percentage, 931, 900, 974, 931, 929. Mrazek's played great. You could probably argue this, considering the team around him, probably, I know he's had some really good year here in 15-16. You could argue this is probably one of his best seasons ever in his career, if not the best. You know, and it's funny. It was weird what happened with Mrazek because he was looked at as the goalie of the future in Detroit, and it just didn't work out. Gets dealt to Philly. Eventually, then goes to Carolina after that. It didn't really work out in Philly. Carolina was okay. Gets moved to Toronto, and that was an absolute disaster. And then, last season with Chicago, team's not good. Numbers weren't great. But this year, he's having a little bit better numbers. Good for him. Good for Peter Mrazek getting himself, some long-time security. It's, for a Blackhawks team that's very young, I think getting some stable players, like just some stable fixtures is a good thing. It's a 2-year deal, so it's not so long. He's over 30. You don't want to be investing too much money right now in a goalie, especially a vet. But they have, kind of looking at their cap situation, they have if it will load, please load. I love you if you load. An $8.3 million opening cap. God, $8.3 million opening cap. Highest paid player would have to be Taylor Hall. No, it's Seth Jones. Right? That's Seth Jones' contract. I think that was a terrible contract. You shouldn't pay a guy like that 9.5. That's crazy. But you obviously have a lot of dinged up guys here. But Taylor Hall, you brought in from Boston, and he's already dinged up. But for me, you have one of the best young players in the game, Connor Bedard. You have a bunch of draft capital. The Blackhawks, I think they want some stability in net. I think Soderblom had some moments this season. He's a young goaltender. You're hoping he can kind of keep improving, keep being that guy. But I'm not really mad at this contract whatsoever. He's played good this season. I think he's worth that cap hit. because him getting an extension, that's big, right? Him getting extended 4.25. I think the cap's going to continually go up, so it's really not going to be that big of a deal. And they already have enough cap space with the Chicago Blackhawks where they'll be fine. They'll be absolutely fine. Let's see. My guy, ECHL and South Dakota sells it every time. Even bring a team to Wisconsin. I mean, I'm not really against. I'd have to look in more deep, population base and things like that. But I mean, I'd rather relocation of a team that's currently doesn't even have a home arena. But I mean, I'm not opposed to them. If every team's doing well, them expanding, I think that's okay. But I think right now you have a few teams that aren't really profitable, and I think that would probably be the best look. About splitting the Toronto fan base, the New York metropolitan area has 3 teams. When the Devils, Islanders joined the league, the Rangers was changed, fan base was unchanged. All 3 teams have strong bases. So, oh man, I might get some crap for this. But my thing is, I working in New York, I know York, like Long Islander, like people in Long Island aren't really looked at as New York City people. Like they're not looked at as that. Like the Long Islanders and the city people look at each other differently. And Long Island, it has a good population base. As for the Devils, the Devils struggle with attendance at times. Like there's some points where they just have capacity at their barn, and you have more Ranger fans than Devil fans in the Prudential Arena. Honestly, they do well enough, but the Devils actually do kind of have an issue with kind of getting their own base because they're just across. We're just across the bay there, and right there in Newark. Like they're just across the bay, so if you want to go to a hockey game, a lot of Ranger fans will go to Devil games because the tickets are a little bit cheaper. But I mean, you could be right. Maybe it doesn't split the base. Maybe it's like a situation where you could have a successful franchise. I mean, I think it could work. Do I think it could work and be successful? Yeah, because Toronto people are passionate about hockey and they're great with their Maple Leafs. Like that's the one thing you can't say, right? You can't say that Maple Leaf fans are not passionate. Toronto, there's not passionate hockey fans in Toronto. I don't know. I think the NHL doesn't want to split the fan base, if I'm being honest. That's what I'm saying. I think it'd be more of an NHL decision, if that makes sense. I mean, maybe they're like, hey, let's put another team in Toronto. I mean, I would rather, I'll say this personally, I would rather have another profitable team in Toronto, like having a second team, than have a team struggle in the southern United States. It's just, you got to have, and I know the U.S. dollar is more valuable than the Canadian dollar, and there's a whole bunch of different metrics to it, but I think if it was in a Toronto market, it's the equalizer of the passionate fan base and them buying merchandise, them going to events, them going to games. I mean, I think you got to sell your first kid to get a Maple Leaf ticket. So, I do not think a very basketball fan base means a strong hockey fan base. I mean, fair, but I think a place like Utah would support the hockey team. What are your thoughts regarding the Bruins' great record despite seemingly a thin roster? For me as a fan, I think the Bruins are extremely good this year. They're a very good team. I think they're starting to make me buy in. Charlie Coyle's having a great year. Pavel Zacha's developed a lot of his defensive game, and I think his face-off took a big jump. I think the Bruins are a piece away from being considered a contender. I know that might sound crazy to some people, but I have some questions in these higher stake games. Like, do they have enough up front to produce? Do I think they have a thin roster? No. I think their decor is good. I think their goaltending tandem's great. They have a bunch of good utility guys, I would call them, in the forward unit. But I think for the Bruins to be a really true contender, they would probably have to bring in a guy, like a number 1 type center guy. I could be wrong. Maybe they keep producing. Maybe Charlie Coyle just keeps fucking killing it. But ideally, at least in my worldview, Coyle's had a great year. He's deserved to be in that top 6. I've always viewed him as a third-line center. But you bring in a center, you move Zacha to the wing, and then the Bruins become far more dangerous. And maybe they don't want to do that. Maybe they want to keep giving Zaka time at center to keep evolving and becoming better, and better. But, I mean, if you wanted to win now, I think that would make the most sense. Personally. Well, if it's NHL's current tanks, you might have a pretty cool... Oh, my God. I have no problems with this deal either. Chicago isn't anywhere near close to Stanley Cup. Let's play or get paid. Absolutely. I mean, they have the cap space to do quite a bit. And Cap is right. LI have their own identity separate from the rest of us New York folks. And that's kind of where I stem a lot of it from, is that they're just completely different people. Anthony says, how about another expansion team in Florida? Maybe Orlando or Jacksonville, or an expansion team in North and South Dakota, or is that Minnesota's market? I don't think they'd add another team in Florida because you have Tampa and you have the Florida Panthers. And I know a lot of the Panthers struggles. With attendance was due to the previous tenure. Like, I'll just say this. When I was working on boats and we went down in the Miami area, because we got off port call, and this was years ago, though. I remember getting, like, free food and really good seats at the Florida Panthers games with not many people in it for like $25. But to be fair, Miami's one of those markets, even with the Miami Heat, it's like very hot and cold. It can be a difficult sports market to be in, but I mean, it's I'm not sure if it would make much sense to add another team. Now, they do have the Jacksonville Icemen. I still think the Jacksonville Icemen still might be a team down there. I don't know. Like, we already have two teams in Florida now. Tampa Bay has been really good attendance-wise. I think Florida is going to turn the corner, especially with the new ownership group. And the team's really good. Like, one of the best teams in the NHL. But, you know, the Miami market can be difficult. And I think with the NHL, they probably would just add, like, they have two teams in Florida. I don't know if they add another. Devils are popular in New Jersey, though. Stronger base than attendance. Yeah, but, like, still, they don't sell. Right, I went to a game when we got off in the Erie Basin in Red Hook. I went to a Devils game, and it was just, you know, I mean, tickets are still expensive because I think it's in that the metropolitan New York City area, but like it was pretty dead, actually. Anthony says, I don't think the NHL would allow another expansion team in a city where an original 16 is there. They tried it in Detroit or Minnesota 30 years ago. Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of where a lot of it I think that's where a lot of my things stems from. Now, I think a second team could work. I think it could work. I just don't know if the NHL would do it. As he says, do you think the Panthers have enough capital to make a big-time trade for a defenseman or another forward to have more depth on the main roster? So for me, when I'm kind of looking at it, for the Panthers, do I think they have enough capital to make a big-time trade? And let's just kind of go look right in the roster right now. The problem is who are you going to give up? I know there's some guys that are like expiring, like off the top of my head, like Montour. Who else is expiring on this team? You know, you have Lundell, Reinhart, who's having a phenomenal year. Listerinen, Verhaeghe, Bennett, Chuck. So Lundell, he's an RFA. You'll probably figure out a deal with him. He's not going to be too expensive. Reinhart, he's a UFA. This is kind of your buy-in year, though, as a Panthers fan. I wouldn't even be mad at you fully buying in. But who do you deal to get a guy? And do you really have the cap flexibility to bring in another defenseman? I mean, do you maybe try? I mean, who would be really on the market? You'd have to looking at a team that's like nowhere near playoff contention. And this is kind of just spitballing, but like, really, could they add somebody? I mean, it's possible. It's just, unfortunately, with the Panthers, let's me get back. They just don't have any real cap. They have $856,000. So who are you going to get at an affordable price that you think's in? Oh, nope. Go back. Go forward. Who do you think who is somebody you're going to get at a reasonable price that you can fit in and maybe even have the team retain half, right? Like, you would have to go to a team like Chicago, for example. Go to a team like Chicago, who has some cap space available. Like, do they have an expiring defenseman that you think, oh, okay, like, we could take a chance on? I mean, Tenorti, I mean, don't know if you want to get involved with Tenorti. Tenorti's okay as like a 6th, 7th guy. But it just really depends. It would have to be a right deal. What I think, personally, if you want my honest opinion, what I think happens with the Florida Panthers, I think they just stay pat. I don't really see much of a path forward in a trade because they're in a very unique situation. They're completely buy-in. Yeah, I don't know. That's going to be a very interesting to see how that plays out. They have not much draft here. Like, they got rid of their first and second for this year. No first round pick. So they only have a first round pick until 2026 right now. I mean, you could argue with the Panthers, and you wouldn't do this because of how successful they are right now. You could trade a guy like Montour and try to get a first to just restock. I don't think they do that. So, Florida doesn't seem to really support their teams like other fan bases do. I think it's just Tampa does. To be fair, Tampa Bay Lightning are very good. I just think I think the Florida Panthers were so mismanaged, it destroyed them off rip. If I'm being honest with you, it made it very difficult. Now this new ownership group has been far better. But yeah, it's been a struggle for Florida Panther fans, easily. So lots of New York area. I mean, there's a lot of, it's the snowbird state. A lot of New Englanders live down in Florida. Just bring back the Quebec Nordiques. No, do not bring back Hartford. Don't do it. You got the Hartford Wolf. Good enough. I'm joking. Yeah, the Panthers restructured contracts for Bob, Barkov, and Matthew Tkachuk. Yeah, I mean, I think that's possible. I think that's absolutely possible. So, I got something breaking, and I appreciate my co-host. Let's see, NHL abuse. Oh my god. You know what? I don't even care, because, like, holy crap. Breaking. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Holy shit. Hold on a second. Ooh. Wow. Wow. Oh, shit. All right. Breaking news here. I don't have the news thing here. So, da-da-da, da-da-da. 5 NHL players is just article like 10 minutes. 5 NHL players on leave amid sexual assault inquiry. 5 players from the Canada's 2018 World Junior team have taken a leave of absence from their current clubs in recent days, and amid a report that 5 members of the team have been asked to surrender to police to face sexual assault charges. Michael McLeod and Cal Foote of the New Jersey Devils, Carter Hart of the Philadelphia Flyers, Dylan Dubé of the Calgary Flames, and former NHL player Alex Formenton, who is now playing in Europe, have all been granted indefinite leave with the absence announced in the past 4 days. The NHL and Swiss Hockey Club cited personal reason for Hart's and Formenton's leave of absences. Flames cited Dubé's mental health, and Devils did not give a reason. Wednesday announced that McLeod and Foote were on leave. Messages left for agents representing 5 players and multiple messages sent to Hart's lawyer seeking comment were not immediately returned. Police in London, Ontario launched an investigation in 2022 after word emerged that Hockey Canada settled a lawsuit with a woman who said she was sexually assaulted by 8 members of the team at a gala. The Globe and Mail reported Wednesday that 5 players from that team were asked to surrender to police in the city halfway between Toronto and Detroit to face charges of sexual assault. Oof. Spokesperson for London police would not confirm the report that when contacted by the Associated Press. When there is an update to provide, that we will share with the media outlets. Earlier in the day, Flyers General Manager Danielle Barrera We are aware of this morning's press reports on a very serious matter. We respond appropriately when the outcomes of the investigations are made public. The NHL has been made very clear the teams should refer all investigation-related questions to them. In the meantime, members of the organization, including Flyer players, will not be commenting any further. The NHL opened its own investigation in 2022 and pledged to make those findings public. Deputy Commissioner Bill Daly told the Associated Press, by email Wednesday the league would issue a statement when it's appropriate, adding there's nothing more he could certainly say. At the Stanley Cup Final in June, Daly said an independent investigator has completed work and expected a report by midsummer that the league would then review. We have been in contact with the London police, continue to wait to be in contact with them, make sure there's visibility with respect to what our process is, Daly said, and to the extent we can understand what theirs is, that would be a good goal, and I can't prejudge what happens from there. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Wow. That's a bombshell. I mean, I know there was... Oof. Wow. And... Oh, Jesus, DG, I can't say that. I can't put that on the screen. I got to be a little bit more careful. All right, so I'll say this. We got to let it play out. We got to let it play out in court. But if there has to be surrender to the police, I mean, we don't know. It's innocent until proven guilty. We don't know. Now, there has been a lot of rumors regarding that team and some of the douchebaggery that went on. And listen, we don't know. I don't know. I don't have the evidence. I don't know. They could be innocent. They could be guilty. I just don't know. So for me, I don't like speaking on things before I know what the case comes out. But this is going to be bad optically for the NHL and, well, more for these players involved, obviously. And if you're one of these players, or if you're one of these teams, you're hoping that this is someone that's, misleading the police. But if there is any truth, or if this did indeed happen, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. It will be very interesting to see how this plays out. It's kind of crazy. If indeed true, it's kind of wild. Holy crap. Holy crap. Holy crap. So, give an update on that. We get an update on that. We'll kind of leave that where that is. There's not much else I can really add to that conversation because I don't know. I don't have the evidence in front of me. It's hard for me to really make any type of video on it because I don't know what happened. Nobody really does at this point. So for me to even make like a comment or make some type of like video or anything on it, and kind of determining either they're innocent or guilty or I think it would be kind of foolish. Now I can talk about it. I think making a video just talking about the case and kind of putting out the information that's been presented, but yeah, I mean, not a good look. And if it's indeed true, this could ruin their careers. So, but all right. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm still kind of dopey, still kind of tired. So I think I'm gonna call it on this one, guys, because I think I'm gonna call it on this one. I'm actually gonna maybe go back to sleep, kind of feel a little bit better. But I appreciate everybody kind of coming through. We had some good people, had some good numbers throughout the whole show. It's been amazing. So this show goes Monday through Friday at noon. Well, today at 2 or like 2:30. But that won't be the norm. I just was exhausted. But I appreciate all the support. Appreciate all the conversation in the chat. You guys have been amazing. And I'm going to get out of here. Look forward to another video that will be uploaded tonight. And look forward to keep bringing you a lot of NHL content. So I'm Captain Paul from the locker room. And I'll see you boys in the next one. And by the way, I'll say this actually before I go. If you like the videos, you like the channel, appreciate if you share it. Like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends, share it with your family. And if you want to support the channel, I mean, there's membership and Patreon. Amazing if you guys do, but even if you just share the channel, like, comment, that's all the support I need. So I'm Captain Paul. See you in the next one.